Hi, I'm John Newton, and in this segment I'm going to be looking for material for a bird's nest for a primitive fire. As you can see, it's extremely cold and the ground's covered in snow. Stay with me. I'm going to be out collecting materials in the order that I find them, not in the order in which they go together in the bird's nest. And after I collect all of the materials for bird's nest, I'm going to sit down with you and show you how I create a bird's nest. I will also be collecting way more material than I need, just because I'm going to be opportunistically gathering as much as I can. Whenever I come across something that will work as a bird's nest material, I'll make sure I grab it to point that out. I'll also be going over sources of bird material and what parts of the plant or whatever that you collect them from. I've had to splice a couple of parts into this video, so as of today it's all wet. A few days ago it was 6 to 8 or 10 inches of snow all over the ground, like thick wet snow, and it's just gotten even wetter because the temperatures fluctuate up and down, and now we've had drizzling rain and snow, and so most of the snow now has melted away. So I'm going to be splicing in a couple of shots from today into the video, because there's so don't worry about the change in scenery. I'm doing all this in a span of about a week. So just sit back and relax, take this in. I'll be going over things more than once, just so it'll be soak in a little better, and I'm going to be putting a bird's nest together in a controlled condition so that I can really explain slowly, give you close-up shots of what I'm doing, so that I can really explain this, because the bird's nest is just as or more important than the ember you create, because there's nothing more frustrating than finally being able to create an ember but failing to blow that ember into flame. Since it's winter, bitterly cold, and your life could depend on being able to start a fire, you want to be opportunistic. Keep your eyes peeled. Look for things that are light, dry, and fluffy. Look for pre-made bird's nests. Now that the leaves are gone, you might be able to see them a lot easier. So if you spot one, grab it. And anything else that you might be able to use to start a fire. This material right here is called swallowwort. It's an invasive vine species related to milkweed. Those little pods are very tiny, as you can see from my hand. They're not very big, but they contain fluffy seeds just like a milkweed does. So we're going to gather some of this. This is going to be part of the roughage part of our bird's nest, because a bird's nest we're going to build in layers. We're going to start with a woody, very flammable backing that's woody, more solid, and then we're going to go to something more like this, which is also has less surface area but will burn for longer periods of time. What we're looking for is something that burns well, but you can will burn for a longer period of time than the real flammable light, what I call flash tinder. So we're going to collect some of this. Here we have milkweed pods. This is a good source of flash tinder. Inside each pod is a bunch of fluffy seeds down. Let's see if I can get it out here with one hand. See that downy material? That's what I call flash tinder. So I'm going to be collecting a lot of this. There's still some of this around. Most of it's already blown away. But you see this one part right here. This is the ovum. And this is very This is also a good flammable thing. It will actually take a spark. You can use this in a fire piston, for instance. So the ovum is a good part too, and I'll show you where the ovum is. Here's an empty one where all the seeds are gone. The ovum is right there, that setting piece. This right here. That's the ovum. So I'm going to be collecting a bunch of these milkweed pods, ovums, and as you can see, there's still some downy material left. For the sake of clarity and instruction, I brought some plastic bags that you won't have access to more than likely, but so I can segregate everything. This is the ovums, and I also found some that still had the fluffy seeds in there that for some reason didn't blow away. This is goldenrod tops. Not one of my favorites, but in the wintertime they should be pretty dry. Okay, so I'm going to collect some of these. Here's more of that swallowwort. And that's a better, if I hadn't already collected it, this would be a good place to get it because it's way up high, up in this tree. It's vines. So this is a good place. You know that one's dry and relatively snow-free. A word of caution is in order here when you're talking about grapevines. This grapevine is right here on the back. See, it's not attached to the tree. But this one in front is detached. But if you look, it's got little tendrils or little root-like substances growing out of it that cause it to attach to the tree trunk. Grapevine never attaches like that. It's always away from the tree. But what does, here's another example of it. It's still attached right there. And you can see the little hair-like, sort of like a root structure. Those are, this is what we consider poison ivy. You want to learn the different types of trees in your area or in general that you can use for fires. The outer bark of any of the birch trees have a material called betulum in them, and it's extremely flammable. So if you pull the outer thin layers of the birch bark off, you can scrape that or shred that up and use that in your bird's nest. That's an excellent source of material for a bird's nest. Also, the cedars, you scrape the outer bark of those, and that's a good coal extender. So you put that on the top, and that's where you put your ember or your coal from any of the primitive methods of generating a coal. You put that in the cedar bark, and that cedar bark starts glowing and taking on, making your coal or ember bigger. Some of the other materials that you can use is from deciduous trees, the inner bark of tulip poplar or yellow poplar. It's got real fibrous inner bark. Also the basswood or American linden. The cottonwood tree has phenomenal inner bark. That's my favorite. Any of those, you can peel the outer bark away and get the inner bark and shred that up to make your bird's nest. Here's an example of what I'm talking about. This is the inner bark right here, and if you find any tree that's got inner bark that's real fibrous like this, it'll be good for making your bird's nest, as long as it's not too far gone. And you'll be able to tell if it's too far gone. It'll just kind of crumble up into dust when you're trying to work with it. This is a dead aspen. You can see the inner bark right there. That would be excellent. Okay. Let me back out a little bit. Oop. Way. This right here. This tree's dead. This right here is excellent, so I'll keep some of this. I'll gather a bunch of this, in fact. You can just take the bark right off this tree. See how dead it is? So I'm going to remove this bark and strip this and utilize some of this. I'm going to show you, I'll back away and show you what the aspens look like. There's a grove of aspens, and here's one I'm up against right here. It's a live one. All these trees are aspens, so they have kind of a gray appearance, similar to a birch. Right there is honeysuckle. Honeysuckle is great. I'm going to grab some of that too. This is the inner bark from honeysuckle. Okay, there's grapevine right there hanging down. That's shredded outer bark of grapevine. I'm going to grab some of that. Alright, I'm about ready to lose my battery because it's so cold. But in front of me is a cedar tree, and I'll pan up. There, you can tell it's alive. Alright, but this portion right here is dead. So I'm going to scrape on that side. Let me get a little closer. There's its bark, and you can tell it's kind of fibrous. So I'm going to scrape that with the back edge of my saw. You'd use, if your knife had a 90-degree sharp, 90-degree spine on it, you could use that. If you had nothing else, you could just use the edge of your knife, because you want to use common sense. It's better to use the edge of your knife than to not be able to start a fire. So I'm going to scrape this with the back of my saw to get some. Okay, I found a marshy area, and this is what I consider flash tinder. This is a cattail. You see how that fluff? So I'm going to collect that. This will be a great addition to my bird's nest. Okay, here's a bird's nest. Unfortunately, it's got snow on it, but I might be able to take it and get the snow off, since it's still pretty cold. Let me see here. There we go. There it is. So for the most part, I can utilize this, as long as I make sure I get the snow out of it. Okay, great find. I can put this inside my, under my coat to help dry it out. Alright, I'm getting ready to start the fire. My fire lay consists of outer grapevine bark on the ground, and then I just got some sticks there to stabilize it. Okay, so it's just a big bundle of grapevine that keeps it well off the wet, cold ground, and gets it more up where the air is. Now I'm getting ready to create a bird's nest, and I'm going to do that with most of the stuff I've gotten, just to be thorough, but any of these you can use. Depends on whatever you can find. Sometimes you can't find all this stuff. But I'm just going to go ahead and point out, as I make it, what the things are. The base layer, which is right there, is more finer shredded grapevine. So that's going to be the bottom. And I got a couple of things in plastic bags. This was birch bark. There aren't any birch trees around here, so I had collected this before. This is river birch. This in here is white birch. So I've got those two things to add. Or I might not even add them. Okay, right here is the first base layer. This is grapevine. On top of that, these are those vines. Swallow wort. Okay, I'm going to put that down next. This right here is the bulk of the nest. This is under the inner bark of a cottonwood tree. And I'm just going to fluff that up. I gathered some aspen. There's some aspen in here. I also have poplar, but I didn't put that in with this because I already have a large quantity here. But we're just going to fluff this up, get as much surface area as possible, because there's dampness in all this. So the main of the game really is to get your ember big enough and hot enough to drive all the moisture that's still in the bird's nest out. Won't burst into flame until it's dry enough. I'll go over this more detail at another time. I'm just going to start a quick fire here. Alright. There we go here. Now we're going to make a depression in the center. And to the center of that, I've got some, I'll just go ahead and point it out. This is fluff from the milkweed. This is the goldenrod flower tops. I'm just going to crush this up, and whatever powdery stuff falls in, because I don't care for this very much, because it just seems to always be damp. But okay, and this is covered with the other, but this is the cattail fluff. You can see the cattail fluff. That's another flash tinder. This is the cedar bark that I scraped. I'm going to put my coal in this. This is the coal extender. That's the spot that I'm going to put my, this is the same stuff, but it's got some flash tinder mixed in with it. You can just put a little in there. This is overkill, don't need this much stuff. The important thing is that you get your coal to form and keep it kind of solidified in the center. You don't want to blow too hard or have it too loosely packed in the center, because I've actually blown my ember right through the bird's nest because it was too loosely packed. So at the beginning you want to kind of keep it a little tighter so you don't let as much oxygen in, so you can get it to smolder and grow into more of a smoldering ball. Okay? So the bird's nest is ready. And I'm going to put my glove on it just to keep it from blowing away. And now for the ember. bearing block, I'm using a piece of pine that is impregnated with resin. I'm using this because the reason why I don't like pine for the bow drill, hearthboard, and spindle is the fact that it's resinous. So I purposely found a piece of fat wood and made a handhold out of it. So hopefully it'll work. Now you gotta be careful because you got big clumsy boots on. Use the whole bow. Make sure you breathe. Right. And we have a coal. So now I can uncover my bird's nest. You can see the coal there. I can rest a little bit. And I'll try to adjust the camera so you can see better. Back far enough. Still, yes, okay. Okay. This is a monster of a bird nest. Now just carefully put the coal in there. Close this up on itself. Now we rotate slowly. This is why I got the heavier flammable materials on the bottom. Now that becomes the burning stuff. Bit. Put some light stuff on there. This smoke indicates how much moisture is in this stuff. As you can tell, it's been raining a lot. Now, I can go over here. here. I collected some other stuff here. Alright, the components I used. This is what I call my little welcome mat. It's made out of the end of a belt. And I left the last hole in the belt, and then I put a split ring in it so I can carry it on my keychain. Hearth board, spindle, bearing block, and bow. That looked relatively easy. However, the key is being completely prepared. I try to always bring a haversack. This is a waterproof oiled cloth haversack. It's one I got from Dave Canterbury. I love this thing, and I never go out without my haversack with me so that I can put the materials in it. I also had some plastic bags, but I used that just as a demonstration to keep everything segregated so that when I pulled them out, you could tell what they were. But you're not going to normally have a bunch of plastic bags with you unless you purposely carry them all the time. But this is invaluable as having a good haversack. And so the name of the game is be prepared. I think I'm just going to enjoy this warm fire. Well, this was this segment on gathering materials for Bird's Nest, and I will be going inside and getting all the materials again for the Bird's Nest and slowly go through in detail exactly how I make it, and that way it'll be locked in so you'll understand even better. Till then, God bless. There's a close-up of my bearing block, and it was just, if you'll look at my video on how I collect fat wood, you'll see this is just cut off right up against a dead tree, and this full of resin.